Yeah. I think we're almost about wrapped up here. Hello?
Ghost, what up, man?
Coach. Bro, for the last time, gang, I'm not buying you them Pokemon card packs, bro.
No, it's serious. I gotta talk to you, man. It's
Alright, man. I'll buy it. What you need?
Hello? The father of DOA is gone, bro.
The father of DOA is gone. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about?
The father of DOA is gone. The father of Ninja Gaiden 2. Itagaki. He's gone, bro.
Man, bro, this is why I be talking about you playing on my phone, bro. Like, what are we talking about, nigga? Shut up.
Why would you think I would get on this phone and lie to you, bro?
I don't know, bro, but you giving off mad liar energy right now, because what do you mean Itagaki's gone, bro?
Do you think I would lie about something like this? Look online for yourself. He's gone, man.
Yeah, alright, bro. When I find out that this is AI, I'm on your ass. Talking about some Itagaki pass, bro. What the fuck are we doing, man? Itagaki, video game designer, blah, blah, blah. Born in... What? 58? The fuck you mean 58, bro? That's young. No. Two swords, two genres, two franchises, one continuity, one pioneer, one burning soul. Itagaki. I unfortunately never got the chance to get to know you or know what type of person that you were, nor was I ever able to experience your games within your era. However, a few things are very clear to me. Dead or Alive came into my life at a time where I was ready to quit the entire fighting game genre via Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. And when I was burnt out of Dark Souls games, the Ninja Gaiden franchise was always an experience that I was able to enjoy getting myself engrossed into, to the point where I've played every single version of Ninja Gaiden 2, including now. I'm currently playing the OG, your version. These games, these franchises, whether they were by you or not, they would have never been possible without your mind and the countless amount of blood, sweat, and tears that you put into them to get them off the ground. You gave your heart to these games so that they could stand the test of time. And for that, I and many others are forever grateful. The DOA community will not let your legacy be forgotten. We will continue to show our passion for your franchises. We will continue to keep your work in our graces. And we will continue to keep your franchises in our graces. Because that's what you would have wanted. Because as a father of DOA and Ninja Gaiden, you wanted those games to stand on their own and thrive. It's as you said, no matter how the world changes or time passes, our love for games and our passion will never die. Your will is carried on by all those you've impacted. Thank you, and please fly high, Itagaki. Sincerely, Golden Ghost. One last moment of silence for Itagaki. Thank you. Now, let's begin. Cartel, my people, my babies, my dogs. What's going on, it's your boys, man? You already know what time it is, man. It's your boy Golden Ghost, and welcome back to some Dead or Alive Primetime, the only show of DOA that's by the players, for the players, and meant to be enjoyed by the players. Now, I hope that I haven't kept you guys waiting for too long. If so, I apologize. It has been a lot of things that I want to talk about and a lot of things I want to get into, but we'll save that for the very end because we have a lot, and I mean a lot, to go over for these next couple hours. So with all that being said, man, sit back, relax, get yourself a snack, get yourself some lunch, get yourself something to where you're able to, enjoy yourself for the next little bit, bro, because we are about to go over a lot of content, bro. I have 2 different player highlights for you boys today. I got 2 different interviews from 2 different very prolific members of the DOA community, and also even got a couple tournaments that I need to highlight for you guys, man. So with all that being said, man, let's start off with the original reason that this episode was getting started. Dead or Alive has a lot of different things to it that makes it unique and sets it apart from other fighting games, whether that be things like the whole system, some of the costumes that they have, or even the stage interactions. But one thing that normally doesn't really get shown or highlighted across, things that something really goes over everybody's head, is the way that they handle guest characters. I feel like when it comes to DOA, they handle their guest characters so well, whether that be from things like Metroid. They had in Dead or Alive Dimensions, they had Metroid, or Dead or Alive 4. They actually had a Halo character in Dead or Alive 4. Not to mention the things that they had with the collaborations with Guilty Gear, Attack on Titan, King of Fighters. The list just goes on and on. But the way that they handle their guests are very, very delicate, and I really appreciate that for this series. So why not begin by showing off and highlighting the people that actually want to put a spotlight on some of the guests and basically pushing these guest characters to their max potential.
real low. Try again. Try again. Try again. Try again. Try again. Oh, fuck God.
Clip it, Nick. Clip it. my God, that was so instant. That was so, Nick, clip that. That was so instant. You didn't even see his break on that. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. What you out for? Uppercut. Look at that shit. There's no way. There's no way. You can't tell me that you don't see that shit.
Some DOA shit right there, bro. Bro, you couldn't get any more DOA than that last 10 seconds, bro. While we're on the topic of guest characters, if there's one person that I can think of when it comes to guest characters that really just stands out to me when it comes to guest characters, there's only one real person that comes to mind when I think of them, bro. And I put them on the same level of Dark Necrofear and Dark Slay. And those two, when I say I put them on the same pedestal as them, I mean as in like that guy is a high-tech searching demon. This man has content upon content of searching for just the high-tech things for not just one character he's interested in, but for all characters across the guest roster. It's crazy, it's insanity. But when I think of somebody who uses guest characters and pushes them to their limit, when I think of somebody who is essentially like the face of this guest character stuff, I have to go with the guy, man. Ladies and gentlemen, please brace yourselves, because we got some destruction bombs.
Nice to meet you, bro. Well,
oh yeah, it's nice to meet you too, man. I'm so used to just seeing the YouTube stuff, man. I ain't never got to hear your voice before, so this is nice.
Oh damn. You never seen any? Did you travel to any of the tournaments? Like from like?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you did.
I was a super casual back then, man. I was one of those guys. So like, I didn't really get in tune with like the DOA, like I knew about the comp stuff, but I was like, at that time I was like real young, so I was just kind of watching everything from like YouTube and stuff like that, and So it's like I played online and stuff, and like But yeah, I didn't really get in tune. Like by the time I wanted to compete, like all the top people was like like it's like just mainly like XFS and Hood weeklies and stuff like that.
Oh, Hood. Oh, Mark. Yeah, Hood listened to them. Yeah.
So there's not really that many offline events I go to.
Oh, no, man, no worries, man. I could have, I thought I could, you know, it's one, like, my memory's never the best either, man. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, most of my time with the DOE series, especially when it comes to contests, definitely has been around, like, at least, like, 5-ish, all the way to, like, last round. And then, you know, real life just kicks in, you know, you get older. You know, because the DOA, you know, DOA 5, that's, like, 10 years ago. We're, like, 2025 now, you know, like, 10 years is a big gap, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a whole decade.
Yeah, but nah, man, thank you for reaching out. You know, feel free to ask me anything. I'm not even sure if you already started this whole interview thing. I don't know if it's an interview or.
It's kind of like an interview. It's like a have interview, like just have conversation. You know, because I have questions lined up, but it's only like 5 questions. And I really just want to pick your brain a little bit. That's all this is.
Oh no, dude. Yeah, by all means, bro. Yeah, ask away anything you want. Feel free to ask, man.
Let me start off with the basic. What first got you into DOA? Who do you main, and what's your favorite game out the series?
How do I make this into like a short story? So, my first Dead or Alive was Dead or Alive 2, for the Dreamcast. During this period, I was not really into fighting games at the time, because when I got the Dreamcast, that was a period with like, there was a game called Sonic Adventure that I really wanted for the Dreamcast back then. I saw like a TV commercial when I was a kid, and then I really wanted this game. You know, it like Sonic going 3D was like out of this world to me at the time. You know, like, you know, it was a period of like, you never thought Sonic would escape the 2D platform, right? So it was like mind blowing to me.
Right.
So, it was kind of the same for like Mario when Super Mario 64 came out. It was the same thing. Like, it just blew my mind. Like, yo, Mario is going 3D. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I thought these characters will forever remain a 2D, you know, action platformer side scroller thing, and Sonic was one of them. So when I saw the TV commercial for Sonic Adventure, the ad where like the whale comes out in the background, it was like, it was definitely like, it might have been like, I don't remember, it was like during like Tourney or Cartoon Network or something like that. I don't quite remember, but it was one of those things that when I saw that on a commercial, I was like, I really wanted the Dreamcast. I was like, man, I gotta get this shit, man. I was willing to do anything to get this Dreamcast. And I remember, like, when I was a kid, like, I might have been, like, I don't know, maybe, like, 8 or 7 years old, where, I would do, like, small deliveries for, like, elderly people to get, like, their medication just so they could pay me, just so I could save money. And then eventually, my dad just got me the Dreamcast. He was like, hey, man, you know, you're doing well in school, you know, here's the Dreamcast. With, like, you know, he gave me the Sonic Adventure bundle, and I was, like, really excited for this, and I was like, man, that's amazing. And I, you know, fast forward, once I beat Sonic Adventure, it was the only game I had at the time. And then, fast forward, actually, no, actually I'm wrong. I had like 2 other games. I think I had like Virtua Fighter 3TV, which was technically the first 3D fight I ever played. But eventually I had a moment where like I was bored out of my mind. I'm like, man, I got no other games to play. So inside the Dreamcast box, there was like a little paper there, and inside that paper had like a little like a little small envelope, like a disc envelope. And within it had a disc called the generator disc. So when I put that in, it had like a bunch of demos. Some of it was like a bunch of movies and stuff for like games that were coming out. And I remember seeing DOA 2 in there. It had like the cover of Ein. So mind you, I never heard of Dead or Alive, never seen anything about it. But when I first saw that cover within like the list of games in the demo, it to me, you've seen the DOA 2 cover, right? You see like Ein in the front, Kasumi's on the left, and Tina's on the right, or whatever.
Yep.
At first a glance, like, mind you, when I was a kid, I used to judge these games based on the cover. Like, I look at some games. There was a game there called Sega Bass Fishing, and I look at it, I'm like, man, this looks like a fishing game. Nah.
Yep.
So, yeah, right. So you know, when you're a kid, that's how your mindset was, right? So when I saw the DOA 2 cover demo in there, whatever, I was like, oh, this should look like an action game. Like, mind you, I didn't know it was a fighting game at all. When I first saw that cover, I was like, oh, this looks like, okay, let me guess. So the guy in the middle is like the main character. The girl on the left is like his communicator, the Asian girl, which is Japanese girl at the time, right? Yeah. It's like, you know how like Metal Gear, you have the people that communicate with you how to play the game?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so that's the girl that's going to help him with the tutorial. And the girl on the right is this big busty titty American woman that he's trying to save from the bad guys. Turns out, when I loaded up the game, it was nothing like that at all. And I'm like, when I first saw that menu and the music started playing, you know, dun, 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 I'm like, oh, it's a fighting game. Okay. So when I loaded it up like I think they only had like a small arcade mode. I'm not entirely too sure, but I remember only Ain and Kasumi and I think Ayane were playable. So obviously, I just picked Ain. I'm like, well, he's the guy in the cover. He's the main character. He's probably the coolest one. So he was technically the first DOA character I've ever played, literally ever touched, to use. And then at some point, arcade mode, I ran into Hayabusa, and at the time I was just mashing buttons. I was not good at the game. I was just hitting buttons. I remember doing like the jab string from Ain. It was like the punch into like that mid punch he does, and then I think Hayabusa held me, threw me in the sky, did the Azuna drop, and from there on I was like fucking hooked, man. I was like, holy shit! I had never seen that shit in my entire life, bro. Never seen that shit in my entire life.
Yeah, that shit is sick.
Like, Ryu's Azuna drop was something else, man. It was like, DOA 2 was ahead of its time, and that game was way too ahead of its time. That shit blew my mind, man. I was like, holy shit, man. Like, what the fuck was, this shit was way, it was more than Sonic Adventure, bro. I was like, yo, what the fuck was this? So, I really wanted to get this game, and at the time, DOA 2 was not out yet. I had to, like, I remember, like, we never really had a computer. I remember I had to go like at a friend's house. He had like I think he had like a Windows like XP type of, or I don't know if it was Windows XP 97, but this was back when internet was like dog shit. Like they had like that net zero type of connection, America Online type of shit. And I remember like
that
going
DSL.
online, like it was so bad, man. And when someone would call, like it would interrupt the internet or some shit. I don't fucking remember too much about it, but I remember like it was the first time I had to look up the release date of the game, and it was coming out in October, so I went to go pick it up using my own money. Well, it's not my own money. It's technically, money that my dad would give me, because, we were young, we were kids, we were still in school. Right. And that's how it all started from there. Now, at the time, when I bought the game, I would just play through arcade mode, go through all the characters arcade mode, and then never touched it again after that. But DOA 2 was, like, the start of, like, the series for me. Like, I got to know what the series is eventually at some point. And then from there, I kind of like almost like fell off, where I didn't really get in touch with DOA until like late DOA 3, where now we had sites like, for the OG Xbox, now we had sites like, like we had like forums and shit, like GameFAQs, how to unlock characters. I remember going through all that, and then I remember looking at the boards, and there was like a community for it at another website. It was called, I think it was called DOA Central. I don't know if it was like later after that, somewhere midpoint. But I remember like looking through the board there, while I was trying to unlock, figure out how to unlock costumes and how to unlock characters. I was looking through the board, I was like, oh shit, they got a community for this shit. Oh wow. So I looked through the websites and stuff, and I saw something like DOA Central or something like that. I was under the name of Blitzace. And I remember seeing like shit that I never seen. I seen like combos and shit, and I'm like, oh wait, they got fucking combos here? Like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like, what? And like at the time, I never really got, I never understood the whole, the universal hold. I never understood it until like DOA 3. And I'm like, oh, so when you get stunned, you would hold mid-stun. Oh, okay, I get it now. Now the game became more understanding to me. And I've seen players like Rakudo, Matt Ponton, the Perfect Legend, these, DOA 3 cats, and I'm like, oh man, these guys are good, man. Holy shit, these guys are like phenomenal. Like, mind you, at the time, I was still in the phase where like fighting games was still not for me. To me, at the time, I was more of like an action player, like, RPGs, the story, so they were always like a side thing to me. Like, when I bought an Xbox, I didn't buy it because of 360, I didn't buy it because of DOA 4, I bought it for Tales of Vesperia. DOA 4 came later after that, because, like, mind you, like, it was a thing where, like, I wasn't too invested, like, I wasn't into the whole tournament thing yet, I was just a casual watcher, I never cared for the tournament scene, I never did any of that stuff. Until like late DOA 4, where now in DOA 5 vanilla I started to travel, fast forward from that point on. But I'd say, going from all the series, my first DOA was DOA 2. I got involved with the community, DOA 3, late, DOA 3, the forums. And then around DOA 4, I see people with capture cards, these early capture cards, they're recording footages. And then YouTube at the time only had like 480p, 720p max. They had like an old layout. I remember seeing like camera footages of people doing like combo videos of like DOA 2U, DOA 3 with like camera phones, and then capture cards with DOA 4. And I'm like, man, dude, this game is like kind of popping off. Like DOA 4 was like, it was one of those first few games of like, like online matchmaking with like fighting games and shit. It was like, it was ahead of its time. And I'm like, man, this series is popping up. Maybe I should just fucking play the series. And then from there, the rest is history. And then After DOA 4, same as before, I took a big hiatus. I didn't come back to like DOA 5 Vanilla. I heard there was an announcement for that game. And then from there, the rest is history. This one's a bit of a mixed bag because I like all the DOAs. Like, even to some parts, I do like DOA 6. Some stuff about it I like, some stuff about it I don't like. But I never really like hated these games. I'd say at best you'd have me like dislike some of them, maybe. I don't know. But I'd say my favorite DOA in terms of for like nostalgia reasons was probably DOA 2, maybe DOA 3. It's hard to pick between the two.
It's like a toss-up.
It is, but like it's because, you know, the OG Xbox with DOA 3 was insane, man. Like, it was just like I don't know what it was, man. Like, it was just a good time period for these two games. I'd say for nostalgic reasons, DOA 2, DOA 3 for like trying to understand the game, actually try to like, you know, see videos of the stuff. It's a toss-up between those two, but in terms of like competitive reasons, I think my favorite one has to be like Dead or Alive 5, like probably 5U Ultimate. I think that one in particular was like the big boom, you know, like the game, well, this version of the game. I can't speak for 5 entirely because when Vanilla came out, it almost felt like DOA 4. There weren't that many, you know, it was kind of niche. You had to be like a DOA player to love these games. But when 5U came out, and then the core fighters came out, it was like the biggest game we've seen in a while for Dead or Alive. I thought it was like the biggest community has ever seen. Like, it was bigger than all the previous ones. We had a lot of players, a lot of people. There was a lot more people playing the game. I had, you know, like, to me, the game that made you like continuously keep playing every single day, every single time, like, I think it was one of those games where like that's got to be like your favorite game at that point, because, you know, when 5U came out, it was nothing but lobbies. There was a lobby for you every time, and then when you host a lobby, it would instantly like, you know, ching 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 ching, people would join. Yeah. That to me was like the greatest feeling, because that means you always get a match, you always get a game. There was like people started making content, because I remember 5U. I don't know if Vanilla had this, but I remember 5U players had the game had a YouTube feature, a YouTube function in the game. So you would upload your video, your replay through that YouTube function. So now you see people making like, you know, match videos through there. Excuse me. And it just started getting more popular. And from there point on, I was like, man, this game is just popping off even more again. And I'm like, man, this one's got to be my favorite version of the game. But I'd say competitively, plus the character introduced, I think 5 was my favorite all time. Like, modern. I traveled for the game. I met a lot of, you know, great people who, you know, supported me. I met Manny, XCal. You know, I finally met Rakudo. I think, well, technically I might have met Rakudo somewhere like DOA 4, but at the time I was a spectator. I met him like, I think I definitely met him at a tournament way before that. But in terms of like, you know, like me applying myself, you know, trying to get better at the game, it's got to be 5. 5 is my favorite competitively, and it's a toss-up between 2 and 3 for like nostalgic reasons. So that's my pick.
Okay. Like, I put you and Dark Slay in the same category in what I like to call a high-tech searching demon. And what I mean by that is, when I first discovered your channel, I seen stuff that I never seen before. I seen stuff that I didn't know was possible. If you would have showed me them back then during the 5U days, because I'm a little bit biased too. 5U's my favorite, because that's what got me into the series. That's what got me into it, you know. So
honestly, man, that's the peak one, man. I don't blame you. That's the peak one, bro.
yeah.
I don't blame you at all, bro.
So when if I would have seen that stuff back then, I would have been like, this guy's cheating. Like, that would have been my first reaction, because like some of them stages, like I forgot the name of it, but you know, when you blow them against the furnace blows up and everything's, you know, shaking. There's a stage with the cliffhanger, and then you're continuing the combo and knock them into the wall, and then the pillar goes down and knocks them back up. You're able to continue it. I was like, I seen some stuff like that for the first time. I'm like, yo, what is happening? You know. And the main thing that I seen that I noticed was a lot of the times I seen you using guest characters, like the VF characters in DOA 5, the stuff in DOA Dimensions with the Metroid stage, the soldier in DOA 4, stuff like that. The guest characters like Mai and Kula in DOA 6, stuff like that. That's what the main topic was going to be. And when I think of guest characters, I think of you, because the main thing I seen was you doing that type of stuff. So I need to ask, Who do you main? Like, what character defines Destruction Bomb? Because when I see you, I see Pi, I see Sarah, and I see Akira.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch, man. I definitely want to start off like this one has to be like more explained, I guess. So I do think there might be some like missing context of like my pick for guest characters, because I remember like, you know, I would get like different feedback, like, oh, why don't you play a DOA character? You know, oh, how come you play these characters, you don't represent DOA? You know, and I'm getting a lot of like, you know, mixed feedback, mostly because I don't entirely always play guest characters. Like, when a guest character comes, you know, they're not going to be there forever. So, you know, at some point you're going to have to accept that, you know, and I've always accepted that. It's one of those things where like, you know, you have to move forward, and if there's no guest characters, then it is what it is. You just play what you have. So, for my guest character choosing, the reason why I play them is because, well, I'll just start from the straight beginning. It all started from like, there are times where people have like this weird obsession of like either being anti-guest character, or they're just not like popular, or they're too hard or something, like, or it doesn't mesh well or something like that, right? So I remember like, I'm not even kidding. This is exactly how it happened. I remember like, I'm going to the forums and I see like the Akira forums or the Pi ones, or, you know, or later in the future with Raido, they're like fucking dead. I'm like, where the fuck, why do people know what, nobody playing these characters? Where's the tech? Do I gotta fucking find this shit on my own? I'm like, man, nobody's playing these characters. And I'm like, fuck, man. And then, I mean, eventually, you know, there's some people there. Like, I remember in 5, we had someone called Slybass, a great friend, phenomenal guy. At the time, it was just me and him and, like, one other person. We had a player named Gallon the Wise. He no longer plays. And there's only just us 3 of us. And we were like, man, we're doing this shit on our own. There's nobody playing these characters, you know? Because, for one, we have to be real with ourselves. You know, DOA, I mean, it's mostly all about the female. So, you know, Kira's a dude. No one's going to pick this guy, right? You know, Helena, Christy, Kasumi, these characters are far more popular. They're easier to play. Well, I don't say for Helena's easier to play, but you know what I mean? Like, these characters have more of a... They have a demographic that people are attuned to.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, man, dude, nobody wants to play fucking Akira? He can't be that fucking hard. And so, I remember like, ladding with Slybass, we're just like discovering shit like, man, this character's actually not easy to play. Okay, so there is some significance of some truth behind it. I'm thinking like, man, dude, like, why is this character so hard though? Like, he looks pretty cool though. Like, I don't see like the stuff this guy does. It's amazing. Like, why don't people play this character? And that's how it all started. You know, like, it's one of those things where like, the way these characters play, how difficult they are, it kind of exudes like, you know, the feedback of like, well, there's a reason why this character's hard. It's because the rewards you get out of it. I'm like, man, this character's fun as fuck. Man, I should just main this character. The character's amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, I should main these characters, because if I don't main them now, you'll never see them again. I'm like, man, I might just main these characters, because you're never going to see these characters again. And I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna play the fuck out of these characters. I'm gonna keep playing them until they're gone, you know? Because at some, you know, it's also out of respect for the developers, because they add these characters and no one plays them. It kind of makes them feel like, you know, like we're shitting on them. Like, yo, why, you know, we add these characters, these guest characters, or these new characters, but no one wants to fucking play them.
Right.
And I'm like, and to me, it feels like, damn, they're wasting resources. Like, yo, that's fucked up, man. Like, you're making them waste their resource. Like, they put these characters for a reason, you know, maybe because they want more people to play these characters, popularity, the merger, you know, because, you know, out of respect, you know, DOA, you know, was like a spiritual, like, you know, support from VF. You know, without VF, you wouldn't have DOA. And I just think like, yo, if that's the case, then out of respect for VF as well, I should play this character. So it's basically a multitude of things packed into one. Like, almost like a goal. Like, okay, I'm gonna play the fuck out of this character. Out of respect for VF for creating DOA. You know, thank you, VF, for being, you know, to create, you know, for allow DOA to even exist. So it's like a giant bucket of list of why I want to play these characters, you know, out of major support, you know. Right. And then from there on, I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna play all the fucking guest characters. I'm gonna play Pi. I'm gonna play Jackie. I'm gonna play all these. I'm like, you know what, man? Because it just seems like a waste, you know. Like, I know these characters are not gonna come back, but people should play them because they're not gonna come back. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, fuck it, man. I'm gonna just play these characters. Fuck it. And so, the whole tech thing, this is stuff that I will admit, no matter what, I still have to give credit to the community, because without them, you know, I would have not known how to, you know, find these stuff. You know, they kind of paved the way for me to understand how to find these stuff, or how to do these stuff. You know, like people like Slybass, hey, you know, like this is what I found with Akira. Maybe you could find something out of it. And then he shows me like the blueprint, and I will try whatever the fuck means necessary to find what I can find, you know, through this blueprint. So all the tech and stuff is most of the stuff is all thanks to the community. Shout outs to them. Without them, man, I would not even like be finding all these stuff. Like they literally paved the way, you know, forward. Like frame data, videos, you know, like, you know, shout outs to DOA for people having capture cards now, you know, documenting, you know, these footages on social media, and then I absorb that information and then just take it in. I'm like, okay, what can I do to like almost like abuse this or find some crazy ass shit with it, right? So that was my mindset at the time. Where most of the stuff, like when it comes to tech, is stuff that I kind of like already absorbed from like years before that, and I just take what I have and just re-implement it. I'm like, okay, what can I do to find this shit again? You know, let me find some shit with Akira again. Maybe I can find something. Especially like the JP community, which is why I still think, this is why I hold DOA 5 to high regard, because we also connected with the overseas player, Japan. And you know, Japan players, they also find a lot of shit over there that people just don't really see. You know, like, you know, things like, you know, back when Twitter was called Twitter, back then it wasn't called X, you know what I mean? Like, it used to call Twitter back then.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the Japanese players would upload like tech, you know, that, you know, because, you know, they didn't really have like a forum at the time. They had, I mean, they probably did, but it might have been some backwater, unknown shit that you probably have to type in JP to find it. You know, maybe some shit like that, man. But like, this was like a rare opportunity. Like, bros, like this is the best. This is the best time to be a DOA player. This is legit the best time. You got players from overseas. They're discovering shit, and I'm like, bro, this shit's insane. This is amazing. And so, and you know, like some of the stuff that I saw that I took in was from them as well. Like I would see some stuff that they find, and I'm like, oh man, this is, I would retweet it, and then I'm like, man, this shit looks cool. All right, let me see if I can find some shit with it. And the next thing you know, I end up finding the fucking Infinite or some bullshit. You know, it's just like, man, like, you know, like I mentioned before, man, it's all thanks to the community, man. Like without those guys, man, I would not be where I am, or if anything, I would not even be playing the games probably, or even discovering shit if it weren't for like the community, kind of like paving the way how to absorb that information and just abuse it. You know, just so that's how it worked. Okay, well then, you know, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But you know, back to the guest character thing. I think it's because it's definitely something to just also be different. These characters are like, you know, not popular. They're very strong too. There's like a commitment. Like Akira in particular, that character. He was technically, I still think to this day, he was like the hardest character I've ever played in a DOA game ever. That character was the definitive answer of like, man, you actually have to work hard for this character to get the results you want. You know, and he's also like the definition of like hard work gives you good payoff. Because you know, there's some games out there where they have a very difficult character with a low payout, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, you put in this work, but you don't get nothing out of it. And Akira's the opposite. He was like the OG of like one of the hardest characters to play, but also ends up becoming one of the best characters to play. You know, you get all this reward. I'm like, man, this shit feels good. This feels amazing to play. It makes me feel like, you know, DOA is like ahead of the game yet again. You know, DOA is like, even though he's a guest character from VF, but bringing him in to DOA was like, bro, this is like a whole new expression. You know, it was awesome. It was amazing. And next thing you know, he ended up becoming my main only because he was different. That's literally it. He still plays DOA, but the way you do things is a little different. You know, he had like his own rock paper scissors game. You know, if you block too much, get guard broken. If you mash too much, you know, because you're no longer blocking, you get counter hit. And if you sidestep too much, you know, in DOA, you can't break throws. Well, you know, except for neutral throws. But, you know, in DOA, you know, if they sidestep too much, you know, you can throw them. So if they sidestep too much, you throw them, and you can't break the throws. So it's almost like he had his own rock, paper, scissors. And I'm like, man, that shit is like next level too. So, outside of the guest characters, I also play DOA characters too. I mean, if I didn't play Akira, I'd probably play... Like, if he was never introduced in DOA, I'd probably play Hayabusa, I'd probably play Leon, I'd play Leon. I even played fucking Raido, only because no one else wanted to play him at the time. I'm sure there's, like, Raido players now in DOA 6. But when DOA 5 last round came out, you know, just like most characters, you know, Raido was fucking dead. No one really wanted to play this character because he was too hard. So it was the same thing for that. Like, I play these characters because either they're not as popular, and I kind of want to bring some light, like, oh, is this character good or not? Or because I like the characters, you know, like Akira on them. But Outside of that, even if the characters weren't there, I'll still play DOA for what it is, regardless if they were included or not. Same with DOA 6. Oh, Kula's in there? Okay, I'll just play Kula, just for fun. Oh, if Kula's not there, I'll just play Mai. Oh, if Mai's not there, I don't know, I'll just play Diego, or Rig, or Jen Li, or Hayabusa. So, it was never a big deal for me. So, it's not like this grand thing that people make it out to be.
You just like playing. You just like playing and answering new questions. Like why is nobody playing this character? You know?
That was pretty much it. That's literally how it all started. I'm not even kidding. Like that's literally how it all started. Like it all started from like the Kira forums. There was only like 3 people in there. Only 3 people, and I'm like, man, why is this shit dead? Like no way. That's impossible. That's ridiculous. And then when I sat in with the character, I'm like, oh, I understand now. But I'm like, wait, but that makes me.
That made you want to play it some more.
Yeah, like to discover. I'm like, bro, that's like, it's almost like, it almost felt like I'm discovering dinosaurs for like the first time. You know, when you go to the fucking like, out in the desert dunes and I'm like, man, I'm about to go find some dinosaurs, man. Fuck that. I'm gonna find some dead fossils, man. I'm about to go in there. I'm about to go find this shit. If no one's gonna do it, I'm gonna fucking do it. Fuck it. I'm gonna go in the desert and I'm gonna dig through, man. So that's really how it was. But I do think that there might be some context where like people think like I only play guest characters. I also play DOA characters too. They just happen to be my most favorite just because they were different. I'm like, man, the stuff they do, man, is like, it's new. You know, they were my answers to like, especially now, you know how these days we have characters, they're like copycats or they're using moves from other characters. And I'm like, you know, like, guest characters to me were always an answer to seeing a new character into the game that isn't a copycat, reusing assets, or is a fucking clone. You know, and I always supported that. I'm like, because I know that if it's a guest character, that means the character, no matter what, will always be brand new. It's always a new character, like no matter what. Versus like, you know, when they make a new character, I always have doubts. You know, I'm like, man, like, is this new character going to be new? Or is it going to be just, they introduce a new character, but it's like, they're borrowing, like, they took some moves from the other characters, you know, like, you know, to save costs, reduce assets, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that. I'm like, man, but like, it just seems like a lazy attempt, right? Like, nothing, no shot, like, this is not a direct shot to anybody for any, like, for example, like, I know people would take it like, oh, are you taking a shot at Hanoka? Or something like, no, it's nothing like that, you know, like, because Raido also borrows moves, right? But he does a cool way with it, right? But even then, it's like, you know, it's not a new character with new moves, you know, compared to, like, you know, like Mary Rose, Mila, Rig, these are new characters. To me, I favor them more than, like, sometimes even some returning characters. Like, it really depends, you know? But to me, guest characters, like, no matter what, it's almost like the ultimate excuse to be like, okay, I know that a guest character is always a brand new character. So that's how I see it.
Now, you said your first game was actually VF3, right?
Yeah. So
did you ever keep up with that, like, too? Because since you played Akira, did that make you want to try Virtual Fighter? I want to get your history on VF, just a little, not as much as DOA, but just a little bit of history on VF to see if that even correlates.
No, dude, I'm glad you asked that. I think it's a good question because, you know, I feel like it's like a key aspect of like, well, if you're playing Akira here, why aren't you playing VF? You know, so I kind of get that a lot. Yeah, so technically, the very first 3D fighter I've ever played was Virtua Fighter 3TB for the Dreamcast. And I, like, you know, like I mentioned before, at the time, that came from a period where I was not too invested into knowing what Virtua Fighter was, just like DOA 2. It just happened to be there at the right time, at the right place. So, Virtua Fighter 3TB for the Dreamcast and DOA 2 was like, they're both in Dreamcast and they're all in this one package of like, you know, what are you more interested in more? And between the two, because I never heard of any of these series, between the two, obviously, due to the hardware and the, you know, how developers made this game, the DOA 2 stood out the most to me. Like, if I had to pick between Virtua Fighter 3TB and DOA 2 at the time, I would pick DOA 2 all the way because it's one of those, like, it was an obvious choice, you know, like DOA 2 just blew my mind, and because DOA 2 blew my mind, Virtua Fighter at the time just like completely like fell off for me. Like, it almost felt like, I kid you not, I think the last time from that point I even heard of Virtua Fighter was when we skipped all the way to Virtua Fighter 4. That was in that point, I was like, oh shit, Virtua Fighter, I remember this I played this shit back on the Dreamcast, Virtua Fighter 3TB. And I remember like watching, like, ironically, funny enough, it was also one of the first games I've watched like tournament footage as well. Like I remember seeing like these like camera phone footages of like Virtua Fighter, of like so many players, and like the gameplay, like Virtua Fighter 4 was insane, man. Like when I saw tournament footage videos of it, I'm like, yo, this game looks ridiculous, and it looked so cool. And I remember seeing that, I'm like, holy shit, dude, like what the fuck is this? And I remember I was like really like you know, like impressed by that. And then when I heard that they added Akira into DOA 5, I was like, oh my god, this is like next level shit. And from that point on, I was never really in touch with VF until not until believe it or not until like Final Showdown. And even then, Virtua Fighter at the time was not because I didn't want to like really play it, but the game was out at such a rough spot at the time. Like it's almost like, for example, if I want to get into Tekken, when Tekken 7 came out, or like any of the previous Tekken, those games came out in a time period where I was just not invested into the game. I was not interested. Or like it came in a period where I was just doing too much schoolwork or whatever. Yeah. Virtua Fighter was one of them. Like Virtua Fighter, when Showdown came out, it was such a period where like I just could not be bothered to play this game or to learn it. Like it came out in such a rough spot for me. And on top of it, especially now in this day, I'm more of a PC player now, and I was waiting for them to put, you know, Virtua Fighter on the PC, and I wasn't gonna play Virtua Fighter on the console because I didn't have a PS4 or PS3 at the time, you know, because my PS3 died, had the yellow light, Xbox 360 died, had the red ring of death, so I had no way to play these games to even like, excuse me, had legitimately like no way to play these games, and I was during that period I played, you know, DOA, but it was just focusing only on DOA. It just came in a rough spot where like I didn't want to play two games at once either. Like it's either one or the other, and I'm like, man, I'm already caught up in DOA. Like I don't want to like restart from the beginning. You know, like and to start over, get involved in the new community. I'm ready to invest in DOA. It's like it was one of those things where like it's the hardest steps to do starting over. It was the hardest steps to do, and I didn't want to do that. I'm like, man, I'm ready to invest it into this. And now, even till this day, I still have that issue. But even then, now it's more accessible. It's on PC, so if I have a reason to play it, it'll be on PC. Mm-hmm. Now, when I transitioned from DOA to Virtua Fighter, it almost seemed seamless. Like, I'm like, oh, this game's actually really fucking fun. I love this game. So I remember playing Revo, and I'm like, man, this shit's like no different than playing DOA, at least in my perspective. So I think part of it is also the reason is because I also played Akira in DOA, so the transition was much more smoother to VF. Yep. So that helped me a lot, and vice versa. But I was never like really like a VF player. Now I've watched VF tournament footages back then, but I never really got involved with the community or like met some of those players offline until like Final Showdown. Because I actually met some of those players offline. Like I think I met VF Hayato. He's like one of the main guys that streams Virtua Fighter. I met him offline.
Oh, yeah.
I also met Icky. I might have met Tricky as well from VF offline because I mean I'm in New York. I'm New York as well. I'm New York City. Okay. So, and I remember VF Hayato. He had a venue for he was playing like these other games, but I think it was mostly mainly for Virtua Fighter. But he had a venue. It was called iFix Machine. And I remember I think at the time it was literally right next to Next Level Arcade, literally right next to it. It's like across the street from him. And I remember going there, you know, he's like, yo, bro, you gotta come through, you know, play Virtua Fighter, you know, like the shit you're putting out, the content, you know, these VF characters. And, yo, the VF community, these guys are super nice to me, man. I have so much respect for those guys, man. Like, even till this day, I kind of, like, always felt bad, like, they're trying to, like, lean me on to play this game. But then, like, you know those moments where, like, I don't want to make a promise I can't keep, because then it'll make me feel like shit. And then I don't want them to feel like, oh, this guy DB, man, he's just in it for the, you know, for the clout. He's just a shill, you know, he just shills the content or whatever. Yeah. You know, I just want to make sure it doesn't go through that. But you know, it's just a rough time. You know, like getting involved with another game, starting over. It was like, man, I love these guys. These guys are super nice to me. The VF community, these guys are ultra nice to me, man. Like literally one of the best communities I've ever met, man. Like offline.
Yeah.
These guys are shitting without respect. Yo,
even
online.
Man. Even online, the VF community is so nice.
Yeah, even online. Like, these guys are like, I remember, I think his name was Chanchai. I don't know if you've seen him, Chanchai.
Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter.
Yeah, especially him, man. Like, he literally took out his time and way to give me like a impersonal tutorial how to learn the game. You know, and I always felt bad. I'm like, man, these guys are like putting all their energy, you know, towards me. And I'm like, man, I feel ultra bad, man, because like I really want to learn, but it's like, fuck, man, I just can't. Like, I'm getting older, and like, I just can't be bothered. Like, maybe like if they were to ask me in 2012. It's so much easier because now I'm in my 30s. But when we played DOA 5U, I was in my 20s, man. I was like 22, 23. Yeah. You know, now I have a girlfriend. You know, I work at a gym. It's like, man, dude, like it's just real life, man. Like, 10 years, man. That's a huge ass gap.
Yeah.
Some of the content that I upload and content, like for example, my YouTube. So my demographic on YouTube when I used to upload shit is mainly Japan players and some of those VF players, but mostly it's from the Japan audience, which is a surprise to me because they don't comment and shit. I'm like, wait. If my analytics says most of my audience is Japan, why don't these guys fucking comment? It's because, well, most of the guys are either shy or because I speak English and they don't want to comment because they don't speak English, right?
Right.
But that type of stuff is like, man, I really wish I was like more invested, like playing VF, actually try to learn the game. It just came at a rough spot, man. And to this day, I think I developed more of an appreciation for it. Than anything for playing these characters. Like, I feel proud, I feel happy that I played these characters. It gives me like respect for like VF as well as the DOA creators themselves. Where like they did it because they came. VF was the first one, and without them, DOA wouldn't exist. And so it's almost like one big thank you for like all these games to like this big appreciation. And I'm like, man, I want to be I want to be appreciative too. As of right now, I've been playing like VF5 Revo, and I fucking love this game. I love it. Not as of recent, because real life, and plus I play other games at the moment. Fighting games are no longer my main concern. But that was the game that I last played, and I had a great time. In fact, I feel like I should play it more. I need to play it more. I don't know when I'll play it. My initial plan for VF right now is that I was gonna go offline. Meet up with some of the cats again, the VF community again, meet them again. But except that time, I'd be going there as a VF player, like an offline VF player for like the first time, because like I mentioned before, when I met those guys offline, I was playing DOA on a different, TV, different monitor at the time. But now, I'm thinking about actually, potentially, probably, I hope, I don't know when, hopefully soon, where I can go offline and just hang out with those guys. Until DOA 7 comes out, until DOA is back on the map. But that, as of right now, VF Revo is the closest thing I have to like, this is the closest thing I can like officially start my journey as a VF player. Now, I have tried VF in the past, maybe like at a friend's house or something like that, things like that, but it's not the same, or like sitting down and actually play it. But when I tried VF, it's a smooth transition. I don't think it's as difficult as people make it out to be. At least me personally, I don't think it's ultra hard, I mean, out of all the games I played, I feel like maybe like Tekken 7. I mean, I never played 8 yet, so I can't comment on that. I never played Soul Calibur either, so I can't comment on that either. But I feel like Tekken 7 might have been a game where like, that game is like way too ahead, where like, I feel like I'll never catch up. So I kind of just let that one go, and I'm like, man, Tekken just has so much characters, like it's a lot of work, and I'm like,
a lot of legacy knowledge.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go through that. I'm like, man, I don't want to start over and then spend years or months or years just to, I didn't want to commit to that. Like that's too much of a, for mental health reasons. Like I don't want to recommit, start over, be part of the FGC for Tekken. Go through all the stages of progress, get better. Not because I don't really want to. It's because it's just so much mental energy that I'm like, man, I think I gotta chill. I gotta relax. Focus on one thing only. Play the games that you want to play for now. And that's pretty much it. So I definitely taken like a big ass chill pill with all these fighting games right now. Especially now, I heard Tekken 8 is like really fucking rough right now. I heard it's even rough now that that new chick came out. And I'm thinking to myself, man, dude, this is why I'm just a spectator, man. At this point, especially now, I'm more of a spectator than a player. If anything, I'd say right now I'm probably more connected with VF now than ever. Still not as good compared to most people out there. But this is the best I've ever been in terms of VF, like, with these people, like, connecting with them. And then, like, comparison with DOA. Because even when Akira was out for DOA, I still wasn't too involved with Virtua Fighter. It's because, like, the accessibility at the time and, like, the timing was just so off. Like, I'm already too invested in DOA. I just can't go back and play a new game. I just can't do that, But that's pretty much it. But I love the VF series. I'm actually super excited for the new one. I'll definitely buy it. I don't know if I'll be ultra invested, not because I dislike it or anything like that, but it's just, man, fucking reality, man. I barely get on. Like the most I can play a fighting game is like 30 minutes, and then I gotta leave the game on and go somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm not even kidding, man. That's been happening a lot lately. So recently, I got an early copy of Ninja Gaiden 4, and I finished the game last night, but I got the early copy like 2-3 days ago, and I'm like, man, dude, like I remember there's so many moments where like I play like maybe like 30 minutes to up to like an hour, and then I gotta go somewhere, and I'm like, man, dude, I can never fucking play this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
When we do get I'm not gonna say if, I'm speaking to existence. When we get a new DOA 7, right? What is your wish list for guest characters?
I like for them to bring the VF characters back, but it is not my main pick. But I would love for them to switch it up. Instead of Akira, Pai, Jacket, Sarah, it would be like Kage, this, and then some other, whatever their pick, whatever they're choosing is, it's things like that. That was one of my options. Honestly, man, I just want to seal the deal now that rest in peace to Itagaki. People are now finding out that his relationship with Harada is not a very it's all like heel babyface type of wrestling thing. They're actually friends in real life. Now that he's passed away, unfortunately, I think now is a good time to maybe get Tekken characters or vice versa. I've always wanted that, to seal the deal, to seal the beef, this ancient beef that doesn't even really exist. And now that this man passed away, I just want the shit to be like a thing now. We're now like, hey, in honor of Itagaki, we'll introduce into DOA characters in Tekken, or then do it vice versa. I would love to see at least same as the VF. I don't want too many guest characters because I feel like, well, now you're just going, you don't want to bloat it either.
Yeah, probably like no more than maybe like 4 to 6, kind of like how it was
4,
for
yeah,
5.
4 is the limit. And, yeah, I think in my opinion, 4 or 5 is the limit. I don't want no more than that. Now I know if people ever hear this from me, I know it might sound crazy. People are gonna be like, "What? That's crazy, Bomb. You love these characters." I'm like, yeah, but I do think that if you had too many guest characters, right? It's not because of an identity thing, but you're gonna run into the issue where like you may have a guest character that might be like absolute dog shit, and because this character could be dog shit, this character is ruining all the entries for the actual good guest characters because this one character fucked it all up, and I want to reduce that chance, like I would like to have a set of characters like maybe like 2 Tekken, 2 VFs, and then that's it. And if they want to go extra mile, fine, that's their game, but it has to be a good character because if they fuck it up, they're basically making it look bad for any of the good characters that may come in that could be guests, So, because the last thing I want is a shit guest character. Like, if I knew a shit guest character was coming, close the fucking door. Don't bring any more. Right. So that's how I feel. I would say maybe like definitely a Tekken character. Tekken, maybe VF again if they want to go back to it. I mean, VF6 is coming out right soon.
Yeah.
So I guess that could be like another throwback to it. I don't want it to repeat everything they did, but I want something new out of guest characters from that category. Excuse me. But I would love to see Tekken characters, man. At least maybe 2. I'd probably like to see maybe like
2 VF characters, 2 Tekken characters.
I think that's fine. Yeah, and no more than that. No more guest characters. No more than that. I think to me that's my limit. But again, that is their game. If they want to add more, by all means, just be careful. Just add.
Yeah, don't want to turn it into 3D All Stars.
Yeah, just adding guest characters, man. Because they always open up the door like this loophole where like, okay, now we're gonna add fucking Goku. Now we're gonna add some crazy ass. And I'm like, man, see, this is where it gets overboard, And I'm like, oh, now the cool guest characters is fucking ruined. Now it's all fucked up, right? So to me, the perfect guest characters is fighting game characters. I don't want no movie characters. I don't want some dude from some show. No offense to the dudes that love Negan or whatever. It just looked off to me. I don't want some dude from a movie. I don't want some dude from like a show, cartoon, anime. I don't want none of that shit. I just want fighting game characters coming over to fighting games. That's the way I want it. That's the way I see it. Mm-hmm. And if they somehow want to go beyond that, it has to be characters that are like makes sense from a fighting game demographic, in the mindset of a fighting game. You know, like, I'm sure there's like many animes and shit out there that, you know, they literally go hands on, you know, like they fight with their hands. Maybe those type of characters, you know. But you don't want to bring like a sword character to a DOA game, right? It's just like, I could picture them doing that. They'll still make it work. It'll still be like DOA. But even then, it's still one of those things where like, fuck, man. Like, now we're just like going overboard. Like Clive, for example. Clive and Tekken. I liked Final Fantasy 16. I thought the game was fun. I just didn't like him in Tekken. Now, then again, I don't play Tekken. I don't have an opinion. I don't have a major opinion of who they should bring. But I thought that shit looked weird, in my opinion. So, I mean, you know. But to go back to your question, I like to see Tekken, maybe VF, maybe they could bring back SAK, maybe bring like somebody that isn't Mai, because I feel like Mai has been fucking abused. I mean, hey, look, I have no complaints on Mai. I love Mai as a character. If they bring her back, that's perfectly fine. But I feel like at this point, it's like, man, they're just like they have no other pick but Mai. Is this like, you know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying. Like, you want to see a different SNK character.
I do, yeah, and I love Mai as a character. But it's just now we reached the point where like, well, if you're only gonna use Mai, then it just feels kind of stale. You know, like Mai is their crutch. You know, like, oh, we're gonna just bring Mai in here because it just makes money, which she does. You know. And I have no complaints because I like Mai. I like Mai being introduced into, you know, into DOA at this point. But it's just like, you know, like if you're gonna do it for a third time, which I doubt, I don't think they'll bring Mai back again because that's like twice already. I'd be fucking shocked if they did. But I like to see someone new from the SNK side. I doubt this will happen. Maybe somebody from Street Fighter. I wouldn't mind playing Ryu. Ryu or Ken. I don't, you know, or Cammy or Chun-Li. I'm sure Chun-Li would probably be more popular. I would play Chun-Li. I would totally play her. She ended up in DOA. But it is a hard. It's so many picks I have in mind, but they're more like fighting game picks that I don't really have a definite answer for. But if I have to pick a number one pick, I know DOA picks are gonna hate me for this, and that's okay. You know, I kind of just want to see Tekken characters only so we can seal the deal that they finally done it. Tekken and DOA are finally combating each other. That isn't just online bullshit beef from Harada and Itagaki, but actual characters in the game. And then from there, you don't have to bring them back anymore in future games. Now that we've done Tekken, we're done. You don't have to use Tekken anymore. You can go for something new, or they could just stop guest characters. I don't know. But that would be my pick. Tekken, maybe VF. I mean, if they bring a character back, that's cool. I mean, that'd be dope too. No complaints here. But if they don't, then it is what it is. But yeah, those are my picks.
Okay. All right. And to close this out, let's go ahead and if you have any last words for Itagaki on his passing, you may do so now.
Oh shit! Oh damn! I was not expecting that.
Sorry to spring that on you at the last minute, but that was my last thing because
I would love to. So Itagaki was like, he was a man. He did his own thing. Shout outs to him. Like, no matter what, I'll still give him the biggest respect that he created DOA Energy Gaiden. Now, there were some things in the past that, like, there were things I didn't agree with Itagaki at the time. But obviously, I'm not going to use that as, like, my leverage to shit on the man. That is beyond me. Because if there's one thing I liked about Itagaki is that I loved his Ninja Gaiden games more than DOA. And that might sound crazy, right? But, OG Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox, Ninja Gaiden Black, Ninja Gaiden 2, I thought those were, like, the best games ever made on the Xbox. I thought they were amazing. Because Itagaki made those. Mm-hmm. And when he made those games, I feel like this is his peak moment. I think this is where Itagaki should be at, making action games. Now, I am happy that he made DOA, right? But there were some things that, like, I didn't really agree with in terms of, like, his choosing for, mechanics and systems, like, regarding DOA 4. Like, for example, like, people could hold, like, off a wall splat. I never liked it that. I never liked it, the philosophy, but, like, to me, a fighting game is, like, when you wall splat someone, they would take that full damage because it's a wall. That to me speaks fighting games. But if you can escape from that, or, like, you have, like, this one frame, like, back turn situations and, like, like these stagger escape nonsense and, like, 3 wake-up kicks, it just feels like, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like you're always dice rolling at this point. But, there were some things I didn't agree with for DOA. But regardless, despite my disagreements, he still a GOAT for many other things, you know, like for Ninja Gaiden, creating the DOA series. Because I know at the time, DOA started from the bottom, and he needed to have like this persona to get this game known. And me personally, I think he done a fantastic job doing that.
Yeah.
Like he had like this rock star persona, like, you know, he had his own vibe. Because to me, he actually felt different. Because every developer at the time, they all seemed samey. Like they all wear a suit and tie. They would speak the same exact shit every time. You know, like, you know, business, you know, PR talk. You know, like, oh, sorry, please look forward to it. You know, the same Japanese businessman. You know, he's on a payroll. You know, the same. But Itagaki was like, he's like, nah, fuck all that. I'm gonna have like a crazy ass good personality. You know, I'm gonna call out your game, like, yo, what the fuck is this type of shit, you know? I thought that was like really cool, you know, like he had his own way of like dealing with things, you know, to market his games. And I think some developers needed a persona, man, like a personality, because, you know, devs these days, maybe not Harada, but like most devs these games, like when they make a video game, it's just all about like standard, you know, PR talk, you know, they just want to sell the game. With no life or energy behind it, they just sell the game, right? Oh, we will fix it when we can. Please look forward to it, type of thing.
Yeah, most devs are silent too.
Like they don't have social media, they don't interact with the community at all. And Itagaki and Harada, these two guys, they always interact. I love those two for that. Like, I know there's some things that people don't like about Harada, but same with, you know, Itagaki. I want to give Harada credit because he interacts with the player base. And we don't have people like that. I feel like every game company from this point on should have a dude that's like a director. He's like, hey man, what do you guys think about this? Did you guys like this game? You know, like, hey, I have a social media, follow me, you know, let's chat. You know, like, oh shit, that's a cool meme. You know, I fucking love this. You know, if you have a guy like that, it makes it feel like they actually give a shit about you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they actually give a shit about, you know, like you bought this product and they're happy that you bought it, rather than like, oh, thank you for buying, have a good day. You know, thank you for supporting the series. Have a great time. See you later. See you never. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I want to give, thank you, Itagaki, for bringing the Dead or Alive series and Ninja Gaiden to life. Because without you, man, people will probably either be playing VF or Tekken. Probably Tekken. I don't know. But for me to him, I want to thank him especially for creating the Ninja Gaiden, man, because Ninja Gaiden at the time, man, was peak, man. It was next level, man. I thought that shit. In Xbox, it was the best action game of all time on the Xbox. It was the best. There was no. Devil May Cry was not better than it. I mean, I love DMC3, you know, DMC1. Those are like those games are also hold a special place in my heart. But in terms of like gameplay, like you can come back and play it. It was like next level. It was like, if I wanted to go back for the gameplay, it would be Ninja Gaiden. If I want to go back for like the story or the cool characters, you know, it'll be for like Devil May Cry or some shit, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I would see it. So you know, thank you so much for bringing these series, man. I know you had some troubled times, but there's a lot of people that still respect you to this day. There's a lot of stuff that I still respect for Itagaki. You know, like I think, you know, regardless of like my disagreements with what he did for like, you know, the balance for the games, he was only human. You know, he did what he did, and you know, he was just making games, right? So, you know, much respect to the guy. Thank you so much for Ninja Gaiden, though, man. Thank you so much for Ninja Gaiden. I fucking love that game. I fucking love this series, man. So thank you so much, Itagaki. Thank you. That's pretty much it for it. Yeah.
All right, man. And thank you so much for taking this time to speak with me today, man. I really appreciate it.
No, dude. No, thank you for inviting me, man. It's been a long time since I actually got into this interview thing. I think the last person interviewing me was like Sakurai or whatever. That's a long while back. You know, shout out to them as well. Hopefully he's still good. But no, thank you, man. I know I'm not as active anymore as I used to be. Not because I don't, you know, for anybody that's, you know, trying to get in touch with me, feel free to still get in touch with me if they choose to. You know, I have a lot of real life stuff going on at the moment. You know, for anybody that's out there, you know, please be safe. Do what you got to do. You know, live life, have fun, enjoy what you have. Because I know I have to. I mean, I will, of course, but please still. I know there's like a lot of controversy with DOA in the past. Something I kind of want to bring up too, actually, really quick. People that love DOA 6, man, leave them alone, man. You know, like the last thing you want is you want people to like no longer play these games. If people love DOA 6, man, let them love it, man, because that's all you have. You should be proud that you at least have people still playing the series. You know, there's a lot of people.
Oh my.
Exactly. I mean, look, man, there's a lot of people shitting on these players, man. Like, to me, man, nothing is more worse than seeing people that shit on the game, but then they play it every fucking day. They play it every fucking day. You know, that to me is like the worst, the bottom of the barrel, man. Like, you have people that, like, excuse my language, that shit on DOA 6, but then they're online in the game with 2,000 hours. You know, like, it makes no sense to me. You know, because the more you shit on it, the more these people are gonna leave, and then they're never gonna come back. You know, you gotta take what you have, man. Like, I'm not a huge fan of DOA 6, right? To me, the biggest realist of an individual, if you don't like a game, you just don't fucking play it. You just don't play it. You know, and let the people that do love it play those games. You know, let them play the game, let them enjoy it. You know, they're the ones pushing the game to be alive. You're not the one doing it, and you know, and that's okay. You know, I haven't traveled for a DOA tournament in like years now. I mean, it's been like forever. You know, and I came to the point where like I took a break from all that. You know, I'm not gonna travel for this game. You know, because you know I don't have a legitimate reason to play DOA 6. However, I still support those people that still do. I still give them credit. Like Hoodless and them. Yo, these guys are still, marking them Hoodless. They're still like showcasing this game. I'm like, bro, like, you know, like, you gotta support these guys, man, because this is all you got. Like, you should be happy the Hoodless is even streaming this fucking game. You should be happy, because if Hoodless was not there, you would have nobody else streaming this game, or at worse, you just have people streaming it in arcade mode, and then they'll turn off the stream, and then that's it. There's people going out their way to like putting this game out on the map, but it's all thanks to the community, man. Like, you got people like Hoodless, Manny, you know, Master. I know there's like the online tournaments that you guys have been like going through right now. Like, what is it? XFS? What is it?
XFS. Johnny, you know Johnny the Flash is.
I've seen his name before.
He's made he's making his own like DOA thing where he's not only doing DOA 6, but he's doing like DOA 2, DOA 3, DOA 4, and DOA 5. He's doing like tournament brackets for every one of those games.
Yeah, look, man, people gotta support these people, man. They gotta back them up, man. Like right now, man, DOA right now is being, not just that, but it's being carried on the backs of the community. You know, I know there's like drama, all this bullshit surrounding it, especially now. You know, there's like this whole AI videos of Itagaki floating around, and like it's a lot of like bashing shit right now. Hey, don't play the latest Ninja Gaiden because Itagaki passed away. And it's like, man, this shit is not helping.
You know, I'm so glad I haven't seen that yet, because I know my blood's gonna fucking boil the moment I do.
Like, it's insane to me. Like, these people. Now this is what I want to get it really quick before. Hopefully, I'm not dragging this too long. But this is one of those things where, like, we also have people that really love Itagaki, but then you also have fanatics. Like, you know, like, listen, man, don't buy Ninja Gaiden 4 because it is not the wish of Itagaki. And I'm not thinking, like, well, how do you even know what his wish is? He's passed away. He's gone. How would you even know now? If anything, he would be happy that the DOA series, to at least to some extent, even if it's not under his vision, still exists. We can't take everything as a negative. He passed away, but not everything is a disrespect towards him. Like, I think Ninja Gaiden 4 is nowhere close as a disrespect to the guy at all, in my opinion. I think it's one of those things where, like, they may have given it to Platinum because, you know, they need the budget. You know, Ninja Gaiden right now, they couldn't do it in-house, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we have to come to a point where, like, of acceptance. I mean, even I was ignorant for a lot of shit, you know, back in the day. You know, like, there was a lot of stuff where, like, you know, I say to myself, I'm like, man, why the fuck did I say that? Like, what the fuck was I thinking? And you have to come to acceptance. You know, I accept, like, you know, for example, the fan service. I always liked the DOA fan service, but, you know, at the time, when you play a specific character, like, yo, why don't give my boy the costumes? You know, like, yo, they don't give him shit. And then I would take that as a negative and then make it like a whole big narrative of why Team Ninja doesn't give a fuck about the males, you know, or some shit like that. But then I realized it's like, you know, over time, it's acceptance. Like, you know, this is their marketing. It's what sells, and you should kind of like support it. I mean, I always supported it, but I always took it to like a negative context. And same with Ninja Gaiden 4 right now. I'll still support it. You know, regardless if it's not in house or nothing, you gotta support it because look, bro, we haven't seen Ninja Gaiden in like over 10 years, man.
Yeah.
If this is how we're gonna get Ninja Gaiden, then it is what it is. By all means, look, man, I played the game, I beat it, and it just felt like, to me, it just felt like no other Ninja Gaiden. In my opinion, it felt like no other Ninja Gaiden. To me, it felt like a little bit more like Ninja Gaiden 3 than Ninja Gaiden 2, just a little bit. But when I played it, it felt like Ninja Gaiden but a little bit more, I guess a little bit more modern, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to put it. But it definitely felt like a Ninja Gaiden to me in their own way. That's how I see it. And we should support these games. We got to support DOA 6 as much as you can. Even though I don't have a legitimate reason to like go out my way to go to tournaments for it, I still give people credit that still fucking plays the fuck out of that game, you know, or even play 5. You know, like fucking hell, man. You got people that are still around playing these games. I think people got to be more supportive.
If you guys want to check out Destruction Bomb, he is on YouTube, and if you want to ping him, he's gonna be on Twitter underneath @Destruction Bomb. His name doesn't change, which is great.
Golden Ghost Cartel. So I'm gonna make sure to, especially for like future shit, I'm gonna make sure to tag you for like credits and shit. So just in case, look, man, I love seeing more. To be honest, I love seeing more content creators for this game in general. I love seeing people coming back from the woodwork. Yeah. I'll definitely be sure to put your name in the future for any future stuff that I have. I'll just link you in it. And I'm like, hey, man, I tag you in here. I'm gonna give you credit, etc.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I really appreciate it. No, thank you so much, man, for your time. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you everyone else, to the DOA players that supported me for years. Thank you, Manny, especially you, man. Fantastic friend. This man has supported me for fucking years, man. Close friend. We met many times offline. Thank you, Matt, Rakudo, XCal. Many names I like to bring up, but it's not at the top of my head right now. But thank you guys for the support. I'll still be around. So thank you so much.
Here at Dead or Alive Primetime, we make it a point to highlight all of the play. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out, or if you're still kind of semi-fresh, or if you're someone that's been playing for a long time and looking to take your skill up to the next level. You show yourself, you make yourself seen, and we will definitely make our way to highlight you, as seen in our player highlights. That being said, we also try to make it a point to show off the tournaments as well, because there are different high levels of play that is shown in these high level tournaments and the more known ones, and then there's other circuits that people don't know about. One specifically that I would like to highlight today is Hold That. This is a tournament series by a DOA player, DF player, by the name of Johnny the Flash. This is a tournament series that covers all different eras of Dead or Alive, from DOA 2 all the way up to Dead or Alive 6. With not only multiple tournaments, but multiple games to show off your skill in, the possibilities can almost be endless.
Roll credit. I'm jumping back.
What's the guard?
Hold the string.
You saw him here. Oh,
There we go. That would have been there. We get the stun.
nice.
Oh, get the stun again. What we do? Oh no, not like this. Not like this.
Oh no.
Not like
He had
this.
it.
We going.
He had it
Oh,
twice.
he had
He
it.
had it twice.
Oh,
Oh.
God, bro.
And then once you're done checking out all those, while you're considering trying to get yourself into a Hold That tournament bracket, also check out the new Evo for Dead or Alive 6. Yeah, that's right. The days of DOA being banned from Evo are over. The core value days are over. Dead or Alive is back at Evo, baby.
Yo, listen. He's got his back. He's got his back. Can we get the card too? Oh, it worked. Yo, that's unfortunate. How did that work? He's dead. That is so sad. That's so sad.
And if you haven't already, be sure to check out the combo breaker for Dead or Alive 6 as well, which is also on the Golden Ghost Cartel channel. That's all from me. Back to Golden Ghost.
Thank you for that, Ace. One last thing before we move on to the next portion. We also have a couple other tournaments going on. That tournament that Hoodless is having right now, it's actually a seasonal thing. So every month for the next few months, we're going to be having DOA 6 tournaments. You also have Dead or Alive Reigns, which is a new series by Emery, who is putting out streams that's basically like an archive of all the iconic Dead or Alive type matches out there, so you can check him out. XFS is always having stuff. There's an Itagaki invitational that's going to be happening pretty soon. And really, it's just a lot of different things going on right now. It's just really good time to sink your teeth into some DOA, because a lot of DOA people are popping off right now. Speaking of popping off, there was an instance that I had on Twitter recently where people were wondering about Dead or Alive's fan service, and somebody said, am I the only one that appreciates the Dead or Alive series beyond fan service? So I said, challenge accepted. And I put it up to the Dead or Alive community. I went ahead and shared it, and I said, go ahead and throw your hats into the ring to show this guy, and basically show other people that, you know, the gameplay can be the fan service too. And with that being the case, you guys did not disappoint. So we're running it back with a lightning round of player highlights. This is what you guys had to show. absolutely amazing. A lot of different things from all over the spectrum. For that'd be low level, high level, extreme level, top level. When I say extreme level, top level, I'm talking about people doing crazy stuff. I'm talking about like the real stuff that you just won't see anywhere else unless it's by like specific people that's just pushing the game to its limit. Like things like the free step dash cancels and stuff like that, and the free step dodge. Speaking of those, bro, while I'm on the topic of free step dodge, bro, that's such an elite type move, bro. That's something that's just so like obscure and out there, bro, that people have been using like at the highest level. And it had me thinking about like I had so many questions about it, bro. So I was thinking, why not ask not only the person who's been in this community for a long time, but also somebody who not only took the free step dodge mechanic, but then named an entire forum after it with being free step dodge. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you guys to join me in introducing and welcoming the guy who is arguably one of Dead or Alive 3's strongest players to ever grace the controller, one of Dead or Alive's pillars, one of the people that's still representing DOA in every facet that he can. I'm of course referring to Matt Ponton.
I was hoping I would get my room like prettied up for you, but it is what it is.
Hey, it looked good. I see all the DOA stuff in the background, the Ayane in the back.
Oh yeah, if you look over here, there's my brand new Kasumi Xbox and a bunch of the DOA 5 collectors boxes still sealed.
Oh, okay.
I've reached a point in my collection where I'm like, I've collected everything CIB, so yeah, I kind of want to start collecting new copies.
Okay.
And that's what you see right up here is a bunch of my backlog of new copies. I mean to either sell or get graded to protect it. Got into game grading because of the protection of that.
Okay. Well, I guess to start, we should start to figure out who Ponton is, man. What got you into DOA? What's your main? Well, I can take an educated guess who your main is. I'm assuming she's right behind you.
It honestly depends on which game we're talking about. Is which main I have. So my first experience with Dead or Alive was in the arcade with Dead or Alive ++.
Okay.
But it was only passing. It was like, hey, this looks fun type thing. It was like one of those it was like built out of a VF machine. Like it was one of those, like it doesn't look like DOA on the outside, but like the game was running on the inside. And so like 6 months later, like I just played it for a bit. It was whatever, I had like 50 cents on me or something. And like 6 months later was when I was in a electronics boutique, later called EB Games and then GameStop, and in it they had a Dead or Alive 2 Dreamcast demo on the Dreamcast, and I didn't have a Dreamcast. And this is back in the day where way before the internet. This is 1999, right?
Yeah.
So the internet wasn't really the internet shopping wasn't a thing. So it was more like my mom took me to 1999. I would have been somewhere around 14 years old. So my mom took me to the mall and she's like, I'm going to JCPenney's to shop for clothes. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to EB Games and hang out. And the next thing I know is it's like I'm just playing nonstop the demo. It has like Ayane and like Ein. Those are the only two options on the demo that you can play. And I just played it nonstop for like the next 3 hours go by. Like the EB Games people really hated me for it. And of course, being a 14-year-old, I'm like, well, which one am I gonna pick? I'm going. And she looked like the character from the plus plus. So I was like, I'm going to go with the purple hair with big boobs. And like, I'm like, oh man, this game's a lot of fun. You know, it's point though is that, like, you know, you got to play through the story mode. You know, you got to see all the different stages, and like even in like the demo reel ahead of it, you can see like people getting thrown off cliffs, you know, knocked through walls, and it's just like back then especially, just felt like you buy a DOA game, and like you wanted to explore the stages just as much as you wanted to play the characters. You weren't in like a square grid the whole time. And you were like, what happens if I throw them into this wall? What happens if I throw them through this window? What happens if I go near this cliff? So a lot of that came about. I mean, back then it was like the Dreamcast. I remember I literally bought a copy of the game and gifted it to my friend, who they were also into fighting games at the time, mostly 2D fighters. But I gifted it to him because he had a Dreamcast, and I didn't have a Dreamcast. I gifted it to him just so that way I could come over his house and play the game whenever I came over his house, and we would play it as well together. Back then, you know, we're coming off the stretch of Extreme. You know, the DOA Extreme had released, and like I was part of a DOA forum called Neotaku at that time. And like I made friends on the forum. Like we had all agreed that like, oh, when Ultimate comes out, we're gonna play each other for the first time. Like for me, like I was the best DOA player, and this is before, again, like there wasn't really like back during these times, there wasn't a community. There was like DOA Central didn't even exist yet. I think maybe it just started existing like 6 months earlier. And like it's like really early like internet stuff. Like back then there wasn't even a YouTube. Like you would if you wanted to find videos of games or something, you'd have to go to like a dedicated website like gametrailers.com, or like, you know, you had to go to like the press web like IGN.com, and then they would pay the money to host the videos, but you would be downloading the full video off the internet. I remember because I bought Xbox Live in prep for Dead or Alive Ultimate's release. You know, I was working at EB Games at the time, so I could use like the discount and stuff. But I bought the game, and then I was like, and then Itagaki delayed it by a month, missing the deadline. It was supposed to be the first online 3D fighting game, but because he delayed it by a month, Mortal Kombat, I want to say Deadly Alliance or something, or Armageddon, like ended up taking that title of being the first 3D fighting online game. But Ultimate was the first 3D fighter it's really the first fighting game to have a lobby system as well. But yeah, through playing online, you know, I started learning more about the game. I remember like being so happy because I was trying to learn Ayane's mid-kick hold combo, which, you know, it like launches him up in the air, and I was like, holy crap, like depending on which character you're using depends on how many times I can hit punch 6p, you know, PP6p, to like relaunch them. Like I was like, if I'm using like Kasumi, if I'm fighting against Kasumi, I can do it sometimes up to 3 times, you know. But if I'm using someone like Bass, I can only do it like once. And like, so like I remember like posting on what was DOA Central at the time, like, oh yeah, I just figured this out. Do you guys know? And they're like, yeah, we already knew that. It's just the weight classes. oh, what? Damn. Because like in my before Ultimate existed, I was like the best in my area. Like no one wanted to fight me in the game or play me. When I played my friends, I talked about earlier, who I bought the game for, like they would make restrictions where like, okay, well, we'll play against Matt like 2v1, but he can't do any defensive holds to us. And I'm like, I can do it. And then like it comes to the end of the match and I instinctively go for a hold, and they're like, oh, we won. I'm like, oh. But so like online was like the first humbling experience for a lot of DOA players, because they're like, you know, because you didn't have DOA at like events. So any arcade events you couldn't play the game at. DOA 2 like Millennium was so outdated by that point that you just like you don't have a group of regulars that didn't bring money in. And then like we would drive to, my first tournament was NEC 5, where I drove with my friends up to the same friends up to Philly. And I remember I entered the DOA 3 tournament that was there, and again, like my whole mindset was like not on competitive gaming, like this is how you do combos, this is how you do juggles and launches. I mean, just basic fighting game stuff I was not aware of at the time. Now I've been able to, obviously 20 years later, with being in the fighting game community and the DOA community, obviously, there's a lot of people out there who think that I'm the best at DOA 2 and 3, and it's like, well, yeah, but I'm also the only guy left playing it. Yeah. So but there was a lot of people out there, back then, even before DOA 4's lobby system, where you can just hang out in the lobby, not participate in the fights. In DOA Ultimate, you would still like you would have like rooms made just to do group chats with, and so I learned a lot from the people that came before me, specifically Tom Brady, gamertag real name Bill Menotis. He's big in the Mortal Kombat scene. He was one of the few guys who played DOA back in the arcade days. So he had a lot of knowledge to share, and I would drive often, because he lived in Virginia and I'm in Maryland. I would drive often to his house for like a weekend just to like play him and understand how to play and that type of stuff. Learning from Tom about DOA 3 and DOA 2 and DOA 4 helped level me up a lot. It wasn't much of a mentor type thing, like where he wasn't like my sensei or anything, but it was just more like I'm my first steps into the world that would be like competitive fighting games, And I remember in DOA 3, because of that earlier fight and because of fighting Tom, because Tom is known for his bass as well, like, I to answer your other question, my mains and stuff, in DOA 2 my mains were like Ayane. Back then it was basically just Ayane, and then like I could also use a little bit of like Leon, but like if you wanted to say what my main was, it was definitely Ayane. And DOA 3, like Ayane moves, she's very fast for me in DOA 3, like having to use her KBD, like spin, and it's to this day, even like the recent ones, she plays a little too fast for me to fully play her right. And when I was playing DOA 3, I was like, okay, I'm struggling against Bass, because Ayane versus Bass in DOA 3 is like a 5.5, 4.5 matchup in Ayane's favor, but I would just always lose to Bass. And so I was like, well, let me pick up Bass and see how Bass plays, and then I'll be able to better fight against Bass players in 3. And Bass just ended up becoming this character that, for me, I was more my play style. To jump way ahead, I was told when I was playing DOA 5, I was at the DOA 5 Ultimate official tournament in Ichigaya, Japan, where it was actually in Koei Tecmo Studio where they held it. And like one of the translator reps, like the translation people of the team, like were telling me afterwards, there's like, oh, I love it because I see you're picking Bass, and like these guys will do a 15-hit combo to you, and then you do a 4-hit combo and does just the same amount of damage. And it's sort of like, I think it was another time where like someone, because I 2D fighter wise, I came from like a Super Turbo Third Strike background. Like Super Turbo was probably the closest 2D fighting game where like I ever like got close enough to a competitive like higher level to play. Okay. And someone once said this, which it stood out to me because I was like, "Wow, the guy's right." He's like, "Master DOA Master, like my master was original on his original name on Xbox was DOAU Master, but we now know him as Master. You know, Manny, community manager." The guy was saying that Master makes when Master's playing Hayabusa, he makes this game DOA 5 look like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Ponton makes DOA 5 look like Super Turbo.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, yeah, that fits because like Bass's slower, methodical playstyle gelled with me in DOA 3. And so Bass became my main in 3. And I also mained, I would like to say I probably mained I almost as equally or just as much Hayate in 3.
Hayate.
I definitely mained Hayate in 4 because Bass was just kneecapped to all hell thanks to Itagaki. And so 4 I had for Hayate, and then 5 my main was Bass. His spinning like 3-part throw to the F5 was my make your move contest winner. It wasn't exactly how I described the move to them, but they implemented it in.
So the F5 that Bass does in DOA 5, the F5 that's you.
He has the F5 in 4, where you would have to hit back. You would do back and grab to go to a combo throw, and then you can do down like at that. In 4, you can do back grab to grab them, and then you can do forward grab, and you'll be plus 26 off the throw. But it's DOA 4, so it's not real plus 26 because you can hold out a frame advantage and throw advantage and hold advantage in DOA 4. So it's not like I was guaranteed a launch or anything. But anyways, if you hit back grab, I could also do down grab, which will do an F5. And what I had suggested to them was that you have like his back grab became a shoulder fireman's carry, and you had 3 options off of it, which is the Wasteland, where like Wade Barrett's Wasteland attack, where it's what he does if you don't continue the combo throw in 5. And then you have the option to do the attitude adjustment from John Cena, which is the second option. And the third option I gave them was the go to sleep from CM Punk. They moved that go to sleep to Tina to do her counter throw, neutral throw would do a go to sleep instead. Which it fits more than this fits like Bass is a very power heavy character, so I can understand like the go to sleep it fits Tina more than it fits Bass, and Bass doing the F5 I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know. The option I had with it was that like you would have from that one spot, and you would choose which of the 3 you would want to do based on positioning. So like the way that the character lands, maybe I want to do it. I would thought that all 3 landing hits would be a ground throw, guaranteed ground throw, and so I could decide how I would want to pick the opponent up. They changed it to this 3-level spinning throw combo throw thing that it is now in 5. They initially didn't guarantee any ground throws, but it was at the DOA 5 launch event that I was like able to tell Shimbori, I was like, can you make the attitude adjustment a guaranteed ground throw, so that way I have an option as a player to choose. I want the guaranteed ground throw more than the damage. And they're like, oh yeah, we love doing that type of stuff. I'm like, cool, thank you, because otherwise I have no reason to ever do the attitude adjustment for Bass, because like, why would I not stop spinning my stick and then push the grab button? 5LR came out, and then they had Mai as DLC, so Mai became like my main, because I felt like I took Bass as far as I could take Bass, but he's so limited in Bass is one of those characters where like he's top tier, best of the class for a beginner level player. So if he actually had the tools that he needs to survive in higher level play, he'd be completely busted and broken at beginner level play. So as a balanced decision, it's just like I took the character as far as I could go. I still main him, but like Mai became my like new main secondary type thing. Okay. And then in 6, like I barely played 6, so it was just the same thing. It was like I wasn't really feeling Neo Tengu's changes, even though she's better in 6 than she was in 5. Mai is like a different version of Mai to me in 6. Like there's things I like about her 6 variant, but she's still very much playing the DOA 5 stun system more so. So her damage output isn't as high as it was in 5, and unless you're playing the full stun threshold. There's some gimmicks you can have with her, but like she's different, but she's not bad. Like she's still good. She's definitely a good character in 6. It's just a different style that I'm used to. So yeah, that's to answer your original question from an hour and a half ago. That's my mains, depending on which DOA we're talking about.
Okay.
Sorry for the long-winded answers
look,
there.
That was a good answer because you answered like 3 questions in one. So
I've been in this community a long time, so you've got to hear every year that I've been in this community.
I've been looking through some of your gameplay stuff, and I've seen some like DOA 3 stuff, but then I've also seen something called DOA 3++. What is that?
So 3++ is in short a fan rebalancing of Dead or Alive 3.
Oh, so it's like 6++.
Yeah, and that's where the ++ in 6 came from.
Ah, okay.
Because Alex was figuring out how to mod 6, because 6's internal files are encrypted, but you can trick the system because the system unencrypts it when it loads the character into memory. So by reading that, like Alex is the guy who made it possible for 6++. I don't have the energy or time in me to modify DOA 6 into the way that I would want to mod it. I think Revan was the one who decided to pick it up.
Yep.
For him, and I remember there was something about like how he wanted to show, like Alex wanted to show on the title screen that you were using his mod to like modify stuff, to like see hitboxes and do this other stuff, and he only had like 5 characters available for him to use it, and I was like, well, just do 6++. Because like it's a ++ is sort of a thing that we've fallen into with the DOA community, where if it means ++, it means a fan rebalance. Which is why we joke about we're waiting for the day that me and Golty Gargar decide to jump over and start doing DOA 4++. Which was a thing at one point, back in the day. If in retrospect, if it were up to me, I would probably rename it DOA 3++, just DOA 3 Ultimate, and you can do the same thing with 6 because they don't exist with the Ultimate version. If we were ever to modify DOA 3++ to like import the DOA 2 Ultimate stuff, I would go for the rebrand and call it DOA 3 Ultimate, so you can play it online through Insignia on Xbox Live. On Xbox Live's Insignia. But yeah, so that came about in the early days back in like 2005 and 6. Like we didn't know too much about the data hex code and what changes what, because you had it was worse for the DOA 4, which is why it didn't really get off the ground either. But you'd have to make a whole build and then like sit and wait to send the data over to your modded Xbox to boot the game up to find out what did that change. When I changed that byte from a 5 to a 17, what does it do now? Like it's nowadays you have like the CXBXR emulator, which allows you to connect like cheat programs to it to see internal memory of the game data, so you can see where stuff you can just manually live change data on the files to like what happens this thing changes to a 6. Oh, it's now +6 on block, you know, or it's like, oh, it's loading up a different move file entirely, like, and the different moves happening when I'm pushing this button, or the UI changed in this way. So it's much easier nowadays to modify it. Back then on DOA 4, back then when they were doing the plus stuff, they used to have to burn a whole DVD CD. Like, you couldn't even transfer it to the Xbox. You had to burn a whole DVD of this build that you made that you had no idea how it's going to change stuff. I remember Grape at the time was trying to figure out the move list order on the bin data, and so he set the damage value for each move one more than the one previously, just so he knew which order, like which move was in which order. Like, because he had to burn the data blind and then boot it up. But plus itself comes from the idea about how DOA++ is probably the most complex Dead or Alive of the series. And as competitive fans, when we were rebalancing it, we named it ++ to sort of carry over that connotation that, like, hey, this is for hardcore, you know, fans who want a deeper game experience.
I remember earlier on Twitter, it was a while ago. It was a few months back. It was a thread that was going around with people talking about the free step dodge, the mechanic, and and I was looking at that and I was like, yo, what is that? It looked like he canceling his move out into somebody never seen before.
Oh,
and then
you're thinking of please finish your question. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. So I was gonna say, so like, I seen that and people were explaining it to me that free step dodge was the name of the technique, and that's what the forum was named after. So it kind of led me down to like what I want to ask you. The main things I want to ask you was, how did, like, first of all, how you even do the move? Then after that, what is like the free step dodge, like the forum, and then like how did you come to make that?
One, I think the move you're thinking of is actually it's the FSDC, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably what they referred to. So like, you have the free step dash cancel, which, like, I tried when we were naming it. I tried sneaking in free step dodge cancel, but they were like, it's not a dodge, it's a dash. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. One, that's a separate thing than a free step dodge. Even though, like, you could say it's related, it's due to the free stepping system. So a free step dodge is what we, oldies would call it when you use the free stepping system to evade an attack. Like if you just pushed up or down in DOA 3, especially in DOA 2 and 4, it would happen on, and in 5, it would happen on any like lunging or jumping attacks most often. That's basically where you would see it most often, is if you just push 8 or 2 to free step out of the way and evade the attack through a free step. So that's what we would call a free step dodge. In 3.1, in the Japanese version of 3, they disabled tracking on after they think the 11th frame of an attack. So it's still dependent on whether the hurt box collides with you, but you can technically evade some attacks by just free stepping more in 3.1 than you can in the American version of 3 or any of the other DOAs. In fact, in early versions of 4, they had the same mechanic there. Like, for example, if you, like in the XO5 build of DOA 4, if you had Jan Lee's like punch, punch, I think that's what it is. It used to be like 6P, but it's basically that wind up like back forward punch, If the person didn't charge the attack, you'd be able to, you would get hit by it if you tried free step dodging. And if the person did charge the attack, then they would go off axis and you would evade the charged version of it. So it wasn't in early versions of 4, and then Itagaki got rid of it all. And then, so that's the free step dodge. The free step dash cancel is due to a bug with the free steps. The game gets confused between you issuing a free step command and issuing an attack. But if I remember correct, like it's not that simple. It's only in specific situations. So like you have to do an attack. You have to like time travel in this, like, right? So like you have to perform an attack that starts with you dashing like forward. You first do you have to issue a command for an attack. And that attack that you issue the command for has to have a string. You're supposed to time your input with the what they call unholdable frame of an animation. Every animation in Dead or Alive, and the way that it checks for whether you're done an animation or not is the reason for this. Every animation Dead or Alive has like a frame at the end of it where you can only guard. You're not able to hold or attack or sidestep. It will eat the input or delay the input of it. And during that frame of animation for an attack, you have to perfectly time inputting a forward dash and then typically up and like up or down, but up is more frequently done. Up and another command for a move that has a string extension. And what happens at that moment is that after that unholdable frame passes, the game doesn't know if you did a free step or if you did a move input that's been buffered. And so it does the buffered move animation, but the moment of the hit frame, whether it hits or not, will cancel into a free step animation. So you're basically canceling out of all the remaining frames of recovery of that string. Why the website's named Free Step Dodge, it's a different story. You had, like I mentioned before, you had the Dead or Alive Central, DOA Central website. That was run by Morris Dawson Hunter. I worked with the guy as an admin for the site for a long while, and his co-founder and I were talking that like we just didn't enjoy working for him anymore, and we felt we could make a better website. So we started other forums. We had other forums at the time that had tried being the hardcore, where we're not talking about casual shit like website, and they often quickly fail within 6 months because when you're dealing with hardcore data, you're like, you can only, you can't argue or post or update like Jan Lee's 6P is 11 frame startup. There's no argument or discussion to be had about specifically that, or even like combo routes that work, right? So if you're only dedicating your website to hardcore data, I find that the hardcore players stop showing up. The hardcore players aren't talking to each other, and casual players like are upset because they don't have a place to talk about the series that they love, the series that we all love, right? So when I'm doing Free Step Dodge, I want it to be Free Step Dodge is a website forum. I know like now it's about Discords, but I don't get me started on that. No one ever reads anything past the past day in Discord chat. But it's an online forum that doesn't have any ads. I still pay for it out of my own money. That is a place for Dead or Alive, fans of Dead or Alive, and Koei Tecmo as well. So mostly DOA and Ninja Gaiden, but its focus is on competitive Dead or Alive play. But just because I want the focus and discussion to be focused on Dead or Alive, like competitive play, like tournaments, events, videos, how to play the character, these hardcore, what people would say hardcore discussions. That's the focal point, but I also need to make sure that the website has a welcoming atmosphere to the non-hardcore player base.
Right.
So that way because we all like same thing like I said with DOA 4, right? Like I had this discussion with Itagaki, and it's why he blocked me on Facebook. He blocked me because someone replied, "This guy's just a hater," and I disagreed. Itagaki had posted that like it is impossible for a competitive hardcore player to understand the point of view of a casual player in the game that they are hardcore competitive with. And I basically just told him I disagree with your assessment, because the hardcore competitive player 99.9% of the time was a casual player. Like, they know where they came from. We all had to start off at that casual level. Even me, like, even if it took like a couple years, right? It wasn't until I got DOA 2 Ultimate did I start actually becoming a hardcore player. But it doesn't mean I don't understand where I was at, or how I viewed the game, or how one who doesn't want to play yet as a competitive player might view the game today. So that's sort of, I go in the same mindset with the forum when I made the forum. I wanted to be a place where DOA, Koei Tecmo. I at first I didn't really want it to be a Ninja Gaiden or Tecmo or Koei fan site, and it still isn't. But like, I've been allowing a lot more of that fandom to use the website, because we just haven't had a game in like 7 years. Yeah. Like, there's nothing to, it's like the folk again. I'm fine with conversations, but like, those casual conversations, discussions about where the industry's at and stuff like that. But the focus of the website is primarily, when given the choice, it's primarily on tournaments, events. So that's the sort of the atmosphere that I try to bring up, is that, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with people talking casual stuff. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong at all. Just that the website, though, has a lens of trying to be a focal point for the competitive aspects of the game that most typically doesn't get any sort of competitive marketing done for it. In fact, one of the I remember one of our early threads that we carried over from DOA Central was the terminology list. We just had this long list of terminology, like what is a 3-in-1, what is a 2-in-1, what is a natural combo, what is the free step dodge, what's a defensive hold, all this other stuff. And the translator for Dead or Alive 5 actually commented to me about how that was really helpful for him. That one section of what is now the wiki is really helpful for him in translating the game for the English audience, because he was able to understand what the player already knows about it, or what the common competitive player who's playing their game already knows about this mechanic, and what to say instead of like trying to make up a new term, like they did with DOA 6, where they named it a 4-way hold and 3-way hold, and we always had called it like 3-point, 3 or 4-point system. So it's you get some stuff like that. But that's basically what free step dodge is there for. It's for, and because it's a forum, like the data is out there. Like, that's what I like, is that one, it's easy to find data, that it's pretty well organized. At least more organized than you get with nowadays with the Discord chats and channels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where that's why I still have the site up there, because even though everyone's moved to Discord and everything, like, I just find that Discord is a chat service, and it's great to have for general chat. Like, one of the problems before Discord even came out on Free Step Dodge was that like almost every thread turned into a general chat. Like, players were responding to each other in posts, like as a "hey, what's going on today" type thing, and we're like, dude, yeah, you guys are flooding the threads with this general chatter, and like I just come into threads, I'm like, I don't know what, like, you're not even talking about what the topic thing is. And so that's the benefit I've had with the Discord, is that like a lot of that chatter's moved to Discord, because it is more of instant response time, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like Free Step Dodge, where you can have like these sort of pseudo strategy guides being provided by other players who've, you know, analytically thought through stuff or whatever. Like, they're posted there. You can have like links and you know, like hard coded data like posted there, and it's still up there for people to find. Whereas like you go to Discord and you see like, oh, okay, no one ever bothers even trying to search, you know, because they just everyone always assumes that the first person to ever ask the question, right? And so that's why I try to keep with free step dodge. And as point of that, it's like we were talking about, I think Emery brought this up with me recently, is just on free step dodge, you can go to the rankings. There's a rankings tab where me and Lord Xavier and Katsuhayami inputted like all the data for tournament events, you know, that had happened throughout the game's life. And it scores it through an ELO system, like where each player is actually ranked based on their real tournament results. And it's not based off of, it doesn't calculate that value based on their placing in the tournament. It calculates that value based off of who you fought in the tournament, what your result was, and what their rank was at that given time in the thing. So it's actually a really intricate system. And you can actually go in there and see like, oh, this is the top for the battle royals. Each battle royal has its own filter, and you can sort of see where everyone sort of falls because of that. Because if, which is, I just think, an ingenious way to do it. Like, it's a way to show that the community, like, hey, who are some of the top players? Oh, it's these guys.
So if we were to get a new game, well, I'm not gonna say if, I'm gonna say when. I'm gonna try to speak into existence as much as possible. When we get a new DOA, what type of mechanics? So you speak very highly of DOA 2 and DOA 3. Would you want the new one to closely resemble that, or would you want it to resemble a different game, like both from like a casual and a competitive standpoint? What is like for what would make like both sides, you know, content? What do you think would be the best course of action? And then finally at the end, if you have any words for Itagaki, at, you know, since he passed.
And you said that both sides, what would make both sides content?
Yeah, because that's one thing that's always been like hard. I've been brainstorming a lot about this too, like, because like the competitive side wants one thing for a game, but some of the things that the competitive side wants just doesn't line up with what the casual side wants. So I've been trying to think of like, how could you like thread the needle? And I don't know what game came closest to that, because from what it sounds like from what you told me so far about DOA 4, the casuals love it, but at a high level the game was jacked up. That's the vibe I get.
DOA 4?
Yeah,
that was the case for DOA 4. And it's also like why I, as I explained earlier, like I can understand from a casual perspective as to why they like that game more. And in the end of the day, first let me comment about the sides thing. I don't think we should focus on something like that, like sides. Like, are there competitive players? Yes. Are there casual players? Yes. But I don't think it should be a focal point. Like, one thing that grinds my gears is when I see people who say like, oh, DOA 6 failed because they only listened to the competitive players. You know, they only cared about the esports players. And it upsets me because like, as one who would normally be considered one of those competitive players that they would listen to, I don't personally feel that they listen to any of the players. There was a bunch of stuff that the competitive players were complaining about that they never touched. You know, none of the competitive players were like I would see people who say like, it's because of the competitive players and the esports players that they made the costumes more conservative, you know? And I'm like, you know, as my understanding of the way the game industry is, especially of that time, I would expect that if you want to place blame and finger point on anyone for stuff like the conservative costumes or the covering up of characters, I would place personal blame on like Sony, because I've heard stories of them like requiring, like I think the story I had heard was that they were the reason why, Rachel's costume wasn't as revealing as the DOA 5 variant, even though it's technically the alternate color style of her Sigma 2 variant of that outfit. But I don't want to I say that as I just said, like, if you were to place blame, but I don't want to be going around pointing fingers and placing blame. I don't think it does anyone good to be doing that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The competitive players don't, like I said, the competitive players generally are going to be people who were casual players, and most of them know what attracted them to DOA. I would see back then, you'd have it, Recruito would say something, and then it would get totally flipped and posted on, I forget what the website was named. It's like One Angry Gamer or something like that. He would flip it, say, "Oh, competitive player doesn't want DOA 6 to have any costumes," and it's just it's you have this anonymous blob that's trying to make its voice, trying to poke a reaction, and I don't think it's something the fans need to focus on, but it grinds my gears when they're it's because the esports push. And me personally, you're asking about what I would do differently, and theoretically speaking here, you could have made DOA 6 without it could, or even you could have made DOA 5. You could have made DOA 5 without ever mentioning any of the game balance or game system changes publicly. You could still make the game and promote what the casual players hey, we have beautiful stages, we have beautiful graphics, we have these you can just watch this trailer and see the characters just kicking ass. You don't have to go into the game system specifics, because I doubt any of that helps sell the game. I think for me personally, DOA 6, when it was being announced, they were all oh, well, we want to change it so you get this close hit. They wanted to change the close hit system. And I'm what the who cares? Who cares? Well, you might disagree, and you might disagree and stuff, but it's yeah, okay, but it's not, you don't see on the back of the box now with new close hit system.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so if it was me directing DOA 7, anything public, it's just look, trust that we're going to make a balanced game. And we can probably show it off in different areas, but in terms of here's a playable demo and you can learn about the system. It's a deep and good system, even without us touching anything. But let the videos and photos tell the story. I say that with realization at the same time that some of those people, when they saw the screenshots of 6, were oh my god, Kasumi's in a fully skin tight leather suit. They're trying to cover up the girls, even though Elena's out there with her boob window. Yeah. It's they're trying to cover up, no man, the DOA 6 didn't have the budget to modify the outfits anyways. They were all being outsourced to Thailand, and it's just in reality, that Kasumi costume to me just is a bad costume in general. It does nothing to help tell the story of what Kasumi is, who she is, by just looking at her. You just see this, they were trying to go with a super heroine movie, modern day movie superhero outfit, I guess, but that's not her character anyways. Yeah. So from what I understand, as I talked to various members of the team on DOA 6, one of the big problems that 6 has is that, well, while they were developing it, they were focusing not on the competitive player, they were actually focusing on the beginner level player. They wanted to make, so got to keep in mind the beginner player. You got to keep in mind the player who's never played this game. You got to keep in mind the player who's just like, we're telling the VTubers showing off this game, just mash the S button, you know? Like, I had like a friend of mine over there who was just like, okay, I get we're supposed to care about the beginner players, and we have the high level players from 5, but there's no middle ground in 6. There's no, what are the intermediate players supposed to do? Because we're regressing the engine by making this system, meter system, with like, we're removing attacks out of side attack. You know, we're making the sidestep require meter now. And like, we're making it a hole, you can now do a hole that holds any hit level, you know? Yeah. And we make it so that way you build meters super fast in the game that, like, as soon as you use the break hold, it's practically back in within like 10 seconds. You know, it's like there's no punishment for that, but they have to always think about the beginner player. And likewise, like, I think I was explaining that the whole, like, you know how in 6, like, everything routes, like, the best optimum juggle always is like B&B launch into B&B juggle, which ends in bound hit into the close hit system that they did.
Yeah, that reminded me a lot of Tekken.
That's because of the fact that it made it easier for them with the low budget to test. When they made the changes, they could test different juggles to find out, like, okay, nothing's more damaging than the B&B one. Like we don't have any infinites, guys. You know, like we specifically designed this entire system to like funnel into this certain juggle design. You know, and then they got rid of the ground game stuff. You know, it's stuff that you don't have to really appeal. But like I bring up these things, and it's just like, you know, like to contrast 5 and 6, right? Like, leading into 5 and 6, 5, they were like, I'm a fighter, and I actually felt like that was like they actually felt like people were behind that mantra on the team, like, I'm a fighting game, you know. I still think 5 looks amazing. Like, it might be a little low res on textures these days, but like, it still looks beautiful as hell to like look at it on the PS4, Xbox. 5, they listen to the competitive players. So, you know, like everyone's like, oh, they ruined the series with 6 because they listen to those esports competitive players. I'm like, the game director was a FGC fan of FGC fighting games, and he listened to what the players wanted, and it made a better game out of it, honestly. You know, like, they didn't do too much to like defer it from 4 or anything, where like 4 is, you know, you're still able to hold a lot in DOA 5, but there's a lot more strategy involved now because certain stuns stop you from holding, but you're able to do other parts of the system like stagger escape. But like 5 went from like, they had a contest, even just opened up to anyone, casual or otherwise. Hey, is like the make your move contest, you know. But 6, they had nothing. Like, 6 was launching, and like, they didn't get involved with like any. It doesn't feel back in retrospect. It doesn't feel like they got involved with any of the competitive players or wanting to run it at tournaments or events. You know, they weren't. They were more open to their fans, competitive or not. Like, they had those branches. But 6 just, it felt like rushed, locked off, and like not enough money to go around. In my opinion. And you asked about mentioning Itagaki. Yeah, I'm saddened that he's no longer with us. I'm saddened that like when a DOA 7 comes out, in your words, not mine, that he won't be able to be asked what he thinks about it. As I mentioned before, he blocked me off Facebook, so I had issues with Itagaki. As a fan of his series and stuff, I had issues and disagreements with how he decided things. But to me, he also is you can't understate the value he brought to the table of video games in general, not even just fighting games. I think his visionary skill and the directorial role is amazing. You know, he had a great eye for marketing and other stuff like that, promotion. You know, I mean, like, it's just like, it's the small things, right? Like, one of the things I really don't like about 5 and 6, and not speaking of the game content itself, is they came out at the end of each of their games iterations. Itagaki, when he was running Tecmo practically, he was typically given blank checks, you know, like, oh, go do it, you'll make money, you know, work with Microsoft, get Microsoft to do half the testing for us, etc., etc. But he also would release the games typically at the start of a new generation console cycle, where you have that base, where they have that small library that's being looked at and compared to. That's something that only he was able to really take advantage of, you know, with the games that he helped make. DOA 2, 3, 4. They were all games that were like at the start of their respective generations. And it's sad that he's no longer with us. You know, however I might feel, I know that I would not be the person I am today without his efforts and work in the industry. Without him existing, I would not be some guy who would, I don't think I would be like, you know, creator of Free Step Dodge or creator of like a fighting game thing. I would be some other person entirely. And all the opportunities that I and many of the fans of his game have had in their lives, the opportunities that those games have brought, wouldn't have had those same opportunities or experiences, I think, that would have otherwise happened had he not been around. So it's sad that he was never able to really do too much after leaving Tecmo, to the success that he had while he was in Tecmo. But he'll be missed, certainly. And it's always gonna be that question, you know, going forward, like when a DOA comes out or something, I think what he would have like. Yeah, he's the first of our of his generation, I feel, of game developers to move on in that way. And like, you know, it's crazy to see like his fellow game devs, you know, being, you know, how they react to the news. Harada and Kojima, you know, like, I can't think of another game developer in his generation that's passed away yet. Like Satoru Iwata was probably a generation ahead of him, if not just, you know, not in the same realm. And Gunpei Yokoi is definitely like 1 or 2 generations ahead of him as well. So I don't know. You know, I never picture Itagaki. I picture him in that same generation as you would Harada or Kojima, you know, and that's yeah. I have nothing really else to add about it. You know, just sad that we're not going to be able to get his take on how he thinks his baby's doing.
That's all the questions I really have for you.
I'm happy to make it a lengthy video for you.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be, we're definitely, I'm pretty sure by the time I finish editing everything, we're probably going to be at like a 2-hour mark, but it's all good. I have no problem with it. I also had an interview with Destruction Bomb a little while ago, so
ask him why he keeps ducking me.
I'll be sure to send him a DM.
You know, if you're going on record, then just ask it to him on the record. Like, why do you keep ducking Ponton?
Oh man.
The man keeps ducking me to play. He'll be like, "Oh, I'm trying to look. I'm playing Virtua Fighter on widescreen on my super widescreen monitor. I'm looking out of like, oh, you could be playing me in DOA 3 over Parsec, man. Why are you ducking me? Why are you ducking me?" He's like, "Oh, I don't have the time, man." And like, you keep saying you want to play DOA 3 one time, and I'm like, well, if you want to play with someone, play it with me, and I'll teach you it and show you why I like it more. But he just like he's never available when you know ever. He always has an excuse.
Oh yeah,
Always has an excuse.
I will let him know. I will let him know.
Catch him off guard. Be like, why do you keep ducking Ponton? Dead or Alive 3 or 2?
But yeah, that's all I really got for you, man. So I really appreciate you for coming on and giving your piece, giving your 2 cents, and giving us some of your insights about DOA.
I appreciate the opportunity, but I also feel bad that I feel like I rambled too much or something.
Look, don't feel. Hey, Destruction Bomb went on for like about an hour or two, so don't feel bad. And that concludes this episode of Dead or Alive Primetime, the double feature. I would like to take this time out, man. If I could just peel the curtain back, man. I just want to take this time to thank each and every single one of you guys for sticking around and just waiting for how long it took for me to get this one out. I announced this like months ago, and there's a lot of things that I wanted to do for this episode that I just couldn't. And like even down to like the intro, I had an idea for a new intro planned out and that fell through. There's a couple issues of plagiarism, but I can't really directly prove it, but it's like I just kind of know what it is, but I'm not going to get too deep into details. Maybe I'll save that. Maybe if I'm ranting, or you can catch me on stream and I'll say something about it. But overall, what I can say for right now is as of right now, I'm going to put Primetime on hiatus for just a little bit, because there's things, next time I announce one, I want to be able to release it right then. So that's a reason why I don't want to just keep people just hanging out in the air. And the other reason is because I am in a work in progress of something that I've been trying to work on, really something that I tried to start years ago, but I just didn't have the type of editing power I do now, or type of like nobody knew who I was at all at that time when I was trying to do it. But now I think is a good time to try something new to help out in another way for Dead or Alive, and that is with Dead or Alive Shadow games. I'm trying to do something where it's like my own format of running sets and people getting paid for it without it being direct money match, to where they're taking money out their own pockets. Like, you have a chance to win and play something without it being like in a tournament bracket setting. It could just be regular sets. But that's a work in progress. That's not nothing that I'm going to say is confirmed yet. Just know that if you see me come out with a new logo that says Dead or Alive Shadow Games, that's what it is. If you guys enjoyed Dead or Alive Primetime, please leave a like, share it, leave a comment, get this in the algorithm, get this out to as many people as possible, man. And as always, subscribe for some more from the Golden Ghost Cartel. We'll be playing more DOA. We'll be playing a lot more Ninja Gaiden. We'll be playing other action games. We'll be trying to sprinkle in some VF in there when we can. So all that being said, this has been Golden Ghost. You guys have a good day.